Sunrise, you will meet freestyle skier Britta Sigourney. She's got moves.
She had that tank top on in that first shot. I'm thinking, Rod, if she was going skiing today, she'd probably want to do it in the tank top.
Yeah, you know, especially tomorrow up on Mount Hood. I think it'll be the third straight Saturday, not only sunny, but temperatures up there will hit 50 degrees of base levels. So yeah, pretty mild spring conditions. All right, as you look at downtown Portland, good visibility, mostly cloudy overall. There are some breaks in cloud cover. 42 is the temperature. Everybody's above freezing this morning, and this is day one of another long stretch of dry weather, perhaps all the way through Thursday of next week at this point. To the bus stop we go. A mix of clouds out the door, 40 degrees, winds are light, partly cloudy, maybe mostly sunny actually by noon, 46. And kids get out of school, not much wind, bright sun, a comfortable 52 degrees.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Rod. We have some breaking news to tell you about overnight. Southeast McLaughlin has reopened after a hit and run near Holgate Boulevard. One person was killed, another injured. This is a live look at the scene. Crews just finished up and they cleared the area. Now, police tell us that this crash happened just before midnight. We don't have too many details yet, but 2 cars were involved, that much we know. Police say the driver of one car died and the passenger was badly hurt. By the time officers arrived, the second car had been abandoned, and witnesses report seeing multiple people running from the scene. But again, if you commute through this area, remember that both directions of Southeast McLaughlin from the Ross Island Bridge to Milwaukee Avenue had been closed, but they are open now as investigators wrap up their work.
Well, it's now been 2 years since the first COVID case here in the U.S. It was back on January 20th, 2020, when a man went to a hospital in Everett, Washington with flu-like symptoms. The next day, he became the country's first confirmed case of COVID-19. 24 months and 68 million cases later, the U.S. has seen now nearly 860,000 COVID deaths.
Despite those staggering numbers, it's also clear COVID restrictions are taking their toll. Frustrations really spilled over yesterday during a hearing on Oregon's indoor mask mandate.
So the state wants to make the temporary mask mandate an indefinite one. During last night's edition of The Story here on KGW, Maggie Vespa took a closer look at this issue and the concerns that come with it.
Under Oregon state law, temporary emergency measures like this can only last 180 days. So the OHA either has to drop the indoor mask mandate when it expires next month or make it, what they're saying, is permanent. A spokesperson telling us, quote, that does not mean the rules will be in place permanently. OHA can rescind or cancel a rule when it believes it's no longer necessary. But that didn't do a lot to calm the long line of people, metaphorically, it was on Zoom, who spoke at OHA's public hearing on Thursday. A lot of them zeroed in on the promise that this won't be permanent, a promise that they point out comes with no timeline or metrics specifying when the mandate would lift.
No longer have any faith in OHA and the mask mandate today. And before you tell me that a permanent mandate can be canceled at any time, I don't care.
The public doesn't trust you to end it when you say you will. Just last year, the public was told that if we reached 70% of the adult population got a COVID vaccine, the restrictions would end. Then just 3 months later, those restrictions and masking was reimposed.
The people simply do not trust you guys anymore. We don't believe that you're going to take into account the best interest of Oregonians, and we don't believe that you're going to repeal this.
Okay, so that meeting went on for hours, and during it, Cynthia sent us an email. She wrote, I sincerely hope that you will importantly report on the fact that there has not been a single speaker in support of this. There are too many of us, she added, to ignore. That brings us to how some against the mandate illustrated their frustration on Thursday. The conservative group Free Oregon staged this mask barbecue in front of the Portland OHA offices. Writing on their invites, the OHA votes to incinerate our rights with a permanent mask mandate. Now, we've asked OHA multiple times for an interview, and right now they are declining. They do point bluntly, though, to the state of the pandemic, and it's illustrated on this graph at KGW.com that shows daily case rates. Look at that peak on the right. Omicron has been shattering new case records, so transmission is higher than ever. And good quality masks like N95s can help stop that. And we also know COVID fatigue is peaking too. The current mask rule expires, as we said, on February 8th. So we'll find out what the OHA decides to do in the next few weeks. I'm Maggie Vespa, KGW News.
Meanwhile, COVID hospitalizations in Oregon continue to rise, and they're nearing record highs at this point. So that has hospitals sounding the alarm. We're going to show you this chart right here. It shows the number of COVID patients statewide who are hospitalized. The far right is the most recent number. It shows the latest number reported by the state. It's over 1,000 patients right now. Not as bad as we saw in mid-September, but it's definitely getting there. Becky Holtberg is the CEO of the Oregon Association of Hospitals, and she said the coming weeks could be bad.
The lack of available hospital beds is pushing the system everywhere to a breaking point. There is good news. The good news is that most patients in the hospital with COVID-19 aren't as sick as they were during the Delta wave. But the sheer number of patients, exacerbated by staffing and discharge challenges, has the potential to overwhelm the healthcare system.
Those discharge challenges are happening because long-term care facilities don't have openings because they don't have enough staff. So a lot of patients that would be sent to those long-term care facilities have to stay in the hospital. The state is bringing in more staff right now for those care facilities and opening temporary places for people to recover. But again, Holtberg worries that right now it's not going to be enough. If you want more details about the latest COVID numbers, you can text the word coronavirus to that number we're showing you on the screen, 503-226-5088. And we will send you back a link to the story that covers all of that at KGW.com. It includes interactive graphs spanning the entire pandemic and information on where you can get a COVID vaccine.
Well, on Monday, more Portland students will head back to the classroom after temporarily returning to online learning. Staff shortages have forced schools all across the area to make some big changes. Devin Haskins is joining us now with more on the impact. Good morning, Devin.
Yeah, good morning, Brenda. Today, Portland Public Schools alerted parents of 5 schools their kids would be returning to class on Monday. Now let's take a look at that list. Roosevelt and Franklin High Schools will be back, along with Ockley Green Middle School and Fabian Elementary. Alliance High School at Meek will also return on Monday. The Kenton campus goes back Tuesday. Schools around the area have been forced to return to online learning due to staffing shortages and a lack of substitutes. We spoke to some parents who pointed out that of schools that are temporarily closed, they're all on the east side of the city.
You know, we did this map, and if you look at the map of which schools are closed, it's very telling for which communities are being hit hardest.
The way that the closures have happened this winter are like visibly inequitable. Imperfect though distance learning may have been, you know, everyone was kind of relatively, I guess, in the same boat.
Portland Public Schools are far from the only district dealing with staffing shortages. We've seen a number of school districts go back to remote learning during the Omicron surge. You can hear from more parents on how they're dealing with all these changes. It's on our website, KGW.com. Brenda?
Absolutely, Devin, thank you. And we continue to hear from educators about all of the challenges that they're facing during the pandemic. They say they're trying to juggle the health and safety of their students with the health and safety of their own families. Plus, they're doing multiple jobs because there is not enough staff. After 20 years, this will be Carrie Trawler's last year teaching in Portland Public Schools. She says the last straw was that district letter, which went out to teachers last week, accusing them of misusing their sick time, so schools would have to close.
When you feel like the organization that you work for, who I have personal loyalty to, I've been with them for 20 years, you know, like to feel like that amounts to nothing, just really was it for me.
This has been such a tough year. Morale has never been lower amongst teachers.
The Portland Association of Teachers surveyed its members and said half of them were considering leaving the profession.
One more COVID headline here before we get to Rod Hill. Business owners in Beaverton can apply to get some extra pandemic relief thanks to the American Rescue Plan Act. Relief money can be used to help businesses with things like utilities, rent, and inventory. The application deadline is 2 weeks from today, on Friday, February 4th. Applications are being accepted on the Beaverton City website, and we have a link to that site at KGW.com. All right, and now it is time to check back in with Mr. Rodney Hill. Rod, what do you have going on behind you there?
Good morning. It is a quiet Friday morning. This is a live look at Timberline Lodge. We still have a 100-inch base up there. Early morning numbers 22. First cold morning up there in a little while. Sunshine is coming to the mountain. And by the way, 1 to 2 inches of snow fell the PM hours of yesterday. So there is some snow and ice on the roads. It's about 30 degrees. Early morning travel could be a little slow, but temperatures will quickly get above freezing today and all will be okay. If you are headed up to the mountain, the bases have been falling. You know, we haven't had a lot of snow since that first week of January. Notice ski bowl is now down to 57 inches. And again, there was about an inch reported at the resorts yesterday. Here are the other numbers. Here on the west side, everybody's above freezing. We have kind of partly to mostly cloudy skies out there right now. PDX 42, the Dow's at 45. Over in Central Oregon, Bend is at 25. Sunshine is coming to all locations today. Here are the valley numbers. Salem 50, McMinnville 52. Again, becoming sunny. Northwest winds light, 5 to 10 miles per hour. It'll also be 50 degrees or a little bit better at the coast today. Battleground 48, Vancouver 52 degrees. It'll be 50 degrees out in the gorge today as well. Here's our Portland 7-day. Okay, this is an automated graphic, and it's supposed to bounce to the height of each daily temperature, right? And sometimes it doesn't quite work right. So it's making today's 52 look like it's more like 80. And then tomorrow's 48, and then we're about 48 or 50 degrees the rest of the way. I have no rain until Thursday. That's the warmest 52 I've ever seen.
It's all about scale, right? It's all about scale. Thank you, Rod. Well, we are talking about a major disruption for travelers on the St. John's Bridge. Coming up at 5:15, the emergency repairs that'll have traffic tied up for quite some time. Plus, how the pandemic is affecting tax time this year. Can you deduct the cost of masks and other PPE? Our Verify team looks into it after the break.